Okay, well, good morning. It is still morning. It is Tuesday, January 13th. Happy New Year. This is our Air Pollution Control Board meeting, and we will start with a pledge to the flag of our great nation. Hand over heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. And next up, we'll have minutes of the meeting from November 11th for approval.
Will be approved. Second.
I'm sorry, the request is to continue it to March 10th at 11. I know you all saw that. There is a motion to continue and a second. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Any objection to that? Hearing none. Okay. We're going to do the addenda item, which I failed to do first, which is the ceremony swearing in of Steve Bennett, Kathy Long, John Zaragoza, Thomas Holden, and Paul Miller. So if we would all stand, and we will be sworn in by Mr. Holden's not here, so we'll swear at him.
Okay, Kathy, Steve, John, and Paul, if you'll please raise your right hand. When I say my name, say yours, and then at the end you can just say, I do. I, Roberta Rodriguez, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Apologize for not doing that first. All right, then we are now down to board comments. At this time, are there members of the board who wish to speak to issues, items, areas of interest? Any comments from the board? None, okay. All right, item 4, there will not be a closed session. So we'll move right away to item 5, which is election of chair and vice chair for the Air Pollution Control District Board. And as you see in the agenda item, the vice chair is, the rotation is the typical that the vice chair moves up to chair, and then we elect a vice chair. And so, with that, our vice chair is Brian Brennan, but we'll have to have a formal motion on that.
Nominate Brian Brennan to be chair.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any objections, abstentions? Ignoring it. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yay, Brian. It's all yours. Good. We'll just switch. Easy to do. Yes, wasn't it fun?
Yes, I
Okay, well, thank you. And Madam Former Chair, thank you for your leadership this last year. Speaking of last year, this time last year I was on a surf trip in Mexico and got nominated as Vice Chair, so I can't complain this time. But I just quickly wanted to say that it's an honor and a pleasure to serve again. When I first got nominated as Chair a few years back, I said that would be the highlight of my elected career, and I'm still elected and I'm back here again. So thank you, and looking forward to it, and all the great work this organization does, especially with AB 32 and the climate change issues across the state. This is one of the organizations, both regionally but certainly on a state level, that's doing great work. So staff, thank you too. We'll move ahead to at this point, where our next is the nomination for Vice Chair.
As it says in the item, a county supervisor would be in the queue for vice chair, and I'd like to put forward Supervisor John Zaragoza. He'll have a good year to learn and train on this one, if he wishes to serve.
Second.
And he wishes to serve.
Second. Okay. I will close the nominations. We have a motion and a second. Objections, comments? No? Then our motion carries.
There you go, John.
Okay. At this point, at item number 7, item 6, opening, we have staff service awards, and I want to looking at this, I have 20 years of service for our executive director. Michael, you want to come up to the podium for just a few moments? I know you're not one that likes to bask in the glory. You certainly you pass it on to the staff, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, from my involvement on this board, all the hard work and the great efforts you've taken to move both the work of the board, but also the air quality in this county forward. So, in recognition of this, we have a certificate for you, and if you want to say a few words, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I want to thank your board for the honor of serving the public here in Ventura County to improve air quality and protect public health. You know, as I look forward, you know, I'm sort of on the downhill slide now. Suddenly I realize I broke the halfway point, that's for sure. And, you know, one thing I really want to do is achieve that 84 part per billion ozone standard throughout the county. I'd like to see SEME and Ojai reach that. And then, as you're aware, they lowered that to 75 parts per billion, but I want to set things up for my replacement so that, you know, the target date they're looking at in the late 2020s is achievable for them. I also want to make sure that when we implement a climate change program, and it's going to be, the districts will be part of it. It looks like we'll be implementing at least the refrigerant rule. Could be involved in semiconductor manufacturing, landfill regulations, and a bevy of other rules, and we want to make sure we do it just as we did it with criteria pollutants. We do it in a way that works well for our regulated community and is effective and cost effective, certainly, for the public standpoint. And with that, I just want to thank you, and mostly I want to thank my staff, because we couldn't have reached the achievements we've made so far without their diligent work.
Thank you, Michael. And at the risk of not having the ink dry, I'll go ahead and sign this and present to you a little later, right afterwards. So thank you. All right. We'll move to item number 7, and that is appoint 4 board members to the standing committee. Standing committee traditionally meets, I'm going to guess, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 or 6 times a year. It meets immediately after this board meets, generally speaking for about an hour, to do the work sometimes on budget and personnel evaluations. So it's not an every time thing. If people are interested, you can certainly let me know.
Oh, I thought we were going to nominate people right now.
That's what I was just, thank you. Let's go ahead and nominate.
I believe Mr. Miller has served on it. I'd like to, I just think it balances it out. We've got 2 west counties that have Supervisor Parks and Councilmember Miller. Round out the standing committee would, I think, give us good balance on the standing committee.
I would agree.
What's that?
You're nominating.
Yes.
Miller and Parks.
So the reason I'm just raising my hand is that we've lost, what, like 3 of the people on our committee? There's only 1 of elected officials. We lost Nicholas Obispo and...
Oh, this is the standing committee. This is not, yeah, no, we'll get to the,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the other one.
Standing
Gotcha.
committee is the chair.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha. And I too would second those thoughts in regards to the balance of the East and West County. It certainly helps bring those, and also it helps. Mayor Miller comes this far west. You know, instead of going back after 30 minutes, we get to hold on to you for a little bit longer, and you can feel like you really done some work for the day. So we'd love to have it. And Supervisor Parks, your interest in air quality and public health is over the years has been tremendous. So we welcome your addition also. So I don't see any objections. We'll look at that as the standing committee. Thank you. We'll move to the second item, which is the representative of the South Central Coast Basin-Wide Air Pollution Control Council. And Mr. Morgan, you had a couple of thoughts?
I nominate Mike Morgan to continue serving. Does a great job for us.
Well, that wasn't too hard. I just want to explain that we've done a pretty good job of working together up there. We were missing 2 more board members off that board, So we need to continue some consistency. I have been the chairman this past year, and I have a feeling it's going to happen again if we don't get some of those people back. So and we need to bring more of that information back to you. I've been doing that at every meeting, but it's been a while since we've met. And so we should be meeting sometime this month.
I believe it's February 18th, but
18th.
it is coming
And
up.
we'll bring back the information again, because it is good to know what they're doing, how we're cooperating with them, and so on. So.
I just wanted to point out, I really appreciate Councilmember Morgan doing that and creating some consistency on that program after having done it earlier. So I really appreciate your willingness to do that, particularly with the changes.
Thank you. Okay.
Second.
Motion second. Any objections? Okay. Councilmember Morgan, thank you for serving again. A lot of great
One more
work.
time anyway.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move to the next item, item 8, which is our rulemaking calendar for 2009.
Chair Brennan, members of the board, I'm Mike Villegas, Air Pollution Control Officer. Health and Safety Code Section 4923 requires the district publish a list of rules scheduled for consideration by your board in the upcoming year, and this list must be published each January. We've created a rule development calendar that has 33 potential rulemaking activities, and as your board's aware, there's no way our staff could actually complete 33 rulemaking activities with the amount of staff we have, but we try to cover eventualities that we could see as potential problems. For example, we usually keep our new source review rule in there because you just never know what could come out with like an LNG port issue that, a legal issue comes up that we may have to react to. But the core of it is a list that includes the rules we need to implement the control measures from our air quality management plan, to implement all feasible measures pursuant to the California Clean Air Act, and improvements in existing rules as problems or issues arise. And then we also tried it just to make this a very comprehensive list, even though it's not mandated, we try to include all the foreseeable changes we're going to have to make to react to state and federal mandates. Staff recommends your board adopt this rulemaking calendar, and it's been posted on our website for some time.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Madam Clerk, any public comments, cards at all?
No, sir. No
Great.
public comment.
Thank you. Pleasure of the board. Okay. Motion by Member Sharkey. Got it. Okay. Seconded was Member Morgan. Seeing no objection, and with the majority here, the motion carries. Move to our next item. Item 9. It's proposed Call Moyer standards attainment program project cancellations and funding. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair Brennan, board members. I'm Chris Frank, Air Quality Engineer. The California Air Resources Board Carl Moyer Memorial Grant Program provides incentives for businesses to replace older, higher polluting diesel engines with new engines and technologies that are cleaner than required by existing regulations. Funding for the program comes from DMV vehicle registration fees and tire fees. This is the 10th year of the program, and over the past 9 years, your board has approved grants for Ventura County businesses totaling over $13.7 million to help pay for the replacement of 377 high-polluting engines. And that reduced emissions of toxic diesel particulate matter and ozone precursors by over 600 tons per year. The new higher efficiency engines also consume less fuel and emit less CO2 greenhouse gas. The grants have been used to help purchase and install lower emission engines in agricultural and construction equipment, commercial fishing boats, and to help purchase new trash trucks. Beginning today, we're recommending approval of grants to replace entire farm tractors for cases where low emission engines are not available to repower the older tractors. And later this year, we hope to add 2 additional funding categories: an $800 per vehicle scrapping program for 1993 and older cars, and a $30,000 voucher program to help truckers replace their 1993 and older heavy-duty diesel trucks. In November of last year, your board funded the 14 most cost-effective proposals we received for year 10. And today we're recommending that you obligate the remainder of the year 10 funding to replace 2 farm tractors, repower 2 farm tractors, repower 2 irrigation pumps, and repower an oil platform workboat. The total emission reductions from these new projects will be about 11 tons per year of ozone precursors, 0.8 tons per year of diesel particulate matter, and 224 tons per year of greenhouse gases. Because the California Air Resources Board will not release new funding until the state budget crisis is resolved, all these Year 10 projects funded with state money have been placed on hold. So your approval would authorize the Air Pollution Control Officer to sign the grants when the state funds begin flowing again. We're also recommending that 3 previously approved grants be canceled. 2 of the grants have expired, and that applicant is being encouraged to reapply for future funding. And the other grant is for an oil platform crew boat and is being canceled at the request of the applicant to make funding available to repower one of their other workboats. And that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer questions.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for anticipating, obviously, the funding. That was a question I had in regards to the state, where we went with this. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Pleasure of the board. Okay. Any objections? Don't see any. Just a quick comment. I would just say that going from 5 engines to 6 on those crew boats, as somebody that is in the water sometimes surfing and watch those boats go by, especially in carp, and the kind of wave it throws out when it goes through. Now I understand there's 6 engines on one of those boats, so and it is clean burning. So on a flat day, maybe you can go by a little bit more often and create more waves of people up there. But there's always, but I'm always curious. You could certainly hear it, so that explains it. But obviously, because of the kind of tonnage and work it has to take on board, that's the reason there's so many engines on board. So you see what you learn when you sit up here. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I've got you here. We okayed a grant for 2 bookends for the CNG vehicles. 2 of them in Camarillo.
That was
Those hookups.
that was through the Clean Air Fund rather than the Carl Moyer program.
Yes, right.
I thought you might catch us up anyway.
But maybe at next meeting, certainly you can comment to the executive director, maybe an update. I hadn't seen any garages blowing up, and that's what we were concerned about last time we talked.
Apparently they haven't hooked them up yet.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for all the work, and certainly for folks being here from the grantees. Mike, next one. We have next item is to proposal to amend salary ranges for chemist and meteorologist classifications.
On November 11th of last year, your board approved a salary range adjustment for the APCD chemist and APCD meteorologist classifications. The Service Employees International Union, which represents these positions, received a cost of living adjustment on November 2nd of last year of 0.5%, which was not included in the approved salary range adjustments. To correct this oversight, today's recommended actions would bring the salary ranges of the above-mentioned classifications equal to the salary ranges of the APCD specialists, which was intended on the November 11, 2008 board action. I'll be happy to answer questions.
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, item carries. Thank you. Move to item number 11.
Second.
Okay. No objections or cancellation of a meeting, that's for sure. Thank you. And item 12 is just receive and file. Thank you. Okay.
With kudos again to Barbara Page for the great job she did
Yeah,
with that piece. Thank you.
Brian, it's going to be boring for you here to swim this fast.
Hardly. Okay. Well, thank you all, and I know you've got a lot of work to get back to, so we'll...
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you still have public comment.
Oh, thank you. I didn't think... Thank you for the reminder. That's,
Put it at the end of the
okay.
agenda.
With that being said, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.